All righty. Hello, 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 everyone. It's Kate Richburg, and it is Friday, March 12th. Let me make sure that everybody can hear me, and I think you all can see me. So there we have it. There we are. I hope we're good. So let me know. I couldn't quite get my earphones to connect, but I think I am all connected as we speak. Well, happy Friday, everybody. It's great to see all you all here today. My hand, I'm gonna do it like I always do. I got my lotion from Denmark from from Gita. So I'm going to have to put on a little lotion here on Friday, on this Friday, Free Tip Friday. So I'm sorry if my hands are going to be slippery, but maybe it's better than having them look so dry. I don't know. Anyway, so it is great to see everybody on this fine Friday. As you know, our Free Tip Friday episodes are a little more I don't know what I want to say, laid back, I guess. So today is going to be kind of a laid back, kind of fun project for you guys to look at. We're going to review a few basics that I think will be great for everybody. We've got a kit. It's not really a kit, it's a mix. You know, sometimes we call them mixes, sometimes we call them kits, but this is actually a mix. And I think you're going to love what I'm going to show you. And then I'm going to show you what I'm making with this. Okay, so without further ado, let's get this party started. So let me bring in this camera. There we go. Oh, I was afraid that it was going to be turned. Hang on a second. I am going to fix that for just a moment here. So just bear with me while I do that because we want it to be in the right place. So I'm going to do this. So talk amongst yourselves. I hope everybody's having a good Friday so far. Let's see. There we go. And I see me. I'm muting myself. I am making sure that the camera is facing the right way. So just bear with me for 2 shakes. I don't want the front camera. I want the back camera. That is done. That's closed up. And I think we are back. Look at that. There we go. Ta-da! That didn't take too long. So I want to show you, because I wanted the big screen, the good screen here, because I really wanted to show you what was happening. So let me highlight the screen, and then we can go it. Okay, so here is the kit, and it's called Emerald Isle. And you could also, if you joined me on Wednesday, I still have it sitting here, I think. If you joined me on Wednesday, you saw that we released some of these really beautiful Swarovski crystals, right? This guy here. So you could use some of the crystals in this kit for other things as well. It's not a kit, Richburg. It's a mix is what it is. And so let me show you. Let me put this to the side. And let me do this. And you guys so from this hoard of Swarovski crystals that I have, you guys, this is one of my most favorite Swarovski colors. This is Peridot. I'm going to put them in my hand. In this kit, you get a giant handful of Peridot Swarovski. That, again, this is a shape that's not going to be around. The holes are nice and large. But look at that. I mean, that's almost a necklace right there. I love you, crystals. I love them. So you get that in the Emerald Isle mix, and you guys loved it. We released the first batch of this mix this morning at 9 a.m. Pacific. I think it's almost sold out, right? And so we have a second batch dropping at noon Pacific time. So I'm going to get off the broadcast a little bit early so you guys can grab it. I made you a little seed bead mix. It has 4 different seed beads in them, and it's a mix of matte and shiny and silver lined, which I think are just gorgeous, right? And then, oh, how did I open those bags? Oh, let me show you the bag. It's our bag opening trick. I'll show you. Here's your, let me open the button. So to open, instead of trying to pull them this way, what you do is you slide to, of course I've got lotion on my hands, but see how you slide like that? That's how you open these small bags without picking them apart, right? Grab it and slide it. Okay. Peridot is also my dear mama's birthstone. Exactly. So, she's never been in super love with peridot, but I always have been. I love it. So this, you guys, look at the button I found for you. This I want to be like a pillow that I toss on my fancy fainting couch. I don't know where that came from either, but I just love it, right? So there's the mix. And then I give you this kind of, I don't know, blue-green fire polish. And, you know, some people say don't mix crystal with other beads or with, you know, whatever. But I will tell you, these fire polish, I think, look delish with those, okay? So, yeah, look at it. Just I can't even tell you. So these sizes are, and of course, I think I've got my caliper right here. Yes, I do. I want to show you the sizes of these, and then I'm going to show you real quick what I would do with this. So this large one, you get 6 of these guys. This would also make just a beautiful earring. This is almost 3/4 of an inch, okay, by about a little over 1/2 an inch. In millimeters, a little over 15 millimeters by about 17.5 millimeters. Let me make sure that was zeroed. Yeah, it was. Great. Then the middle size, width about 10, hole to hole almost 16, and the smaller one, hole to hole, about 11.5 by almost 6. Well, no, that's not quite right. About, they're cut kind of funny, so about 7.5 millimeters wide. Okay, so those are the 3 sizes you get, and you can see kind of the comparison. These fire polish right here is, these are 6 millimeter for you, so you kind of know what's going on. And then I thought that this button really pulled everything together, so I just jumped in and grabbed some seed beads that I thought really, really worked. And Drea said there's another batch coming in. If you go right to beadshop.com and you go right to the home page, you'll see the link for everything. So Catherine, you're asking about the price and everything. It's all there right on the home page. So if you jump in, if it says sold out, right now if you're watching me live, it is Wednesday, March 12th at 10:45 a.m. here on the West Coast here Pacific time. So you'll get if it's sold out before our broadcast ends, jump on at noon because there'll be another batch going in. But when that batch goes in, it's done. Okay. So, I love making these mixes because they are, what do I want to say? They're a great jumping off point, I guess. And so, yeah, my mom is asking, are they Swarovski? They are Swarovski crystals. So they're super shiny. I mean, they're just gorgeous, right? It's crazy. I love them, love them, love them. So, so it's a great jumping off point for your creativity. Okay. So, I am going to lift this up a bit. And I pulled, before I sailed in here to do the show, I pulled in 2 projects that I think would do beautifully with this. One is that lariat. This was another mix that I dropped. I think it was earlier this year, I think, or maybe later last year. I don't know. Time has no meaning, really, right? But it was the ones that had these really cool drops. And I did kind of a lariat with the seed beads, and I had some melon beads and a roller and stuff like that in here, right? And so what I did was I did kind of an ombre color. So you can see it goes from dark to light. It's very, very pretty. And so then I also brought this one. This was one of the very first pearl kits that I did for you guys, probably almost 2 years ago. And this is, I just love this one. And you can see I've put just small seed beads in between the pearls. Well, you could kind of do that same thing with these crystals and with these 6 millimeters right here. The thing that these both have in common, you guys, is that they are strung, besides being in the same color family, is that they're strung on soft flex. So I feel like I can never have too many soft flex demos, okay? And so I wanted to show you a couple of ways to, like if you're doing a lariat, okay, like this, and this drop, right? The drop here, you can see the seed beads go through, and then I have it crimped right up there. Okay, so, and these are all just beads. Yep, Hale, this is it. This is all just small 10 size 11-aughts right here. These are an 8-aught, this size. Okay, but I wanted to show you how I might do an ending if this were going to be, let's say I didn't want to wire wrap this piece, right? And I wanted this to be the bottom of like a lariat, or maybe it's an earring dangle or something like that. Okay, so I'm going to grab, let me grab some crimps. Let me see, what color, what do I have here that matches? Maybe I'll use the silver. What do you think? It's a shiny kind of a day. Do I have some? You know, and it doesn't really matter if I have crimp covers and crimp tubes that don't match, because that crimp cover is just going to cover the tube, so it really won't make a difference as I rustle through here. Let me see. Oh, I've got a couple of crimps right here. Bear with me here just a second while I open these up. Okay, there we go. So what I might do, you could do this before you start or when you end. So you could, like if you're doing a lariat, you could string all of this first, right? Then jump down here at the bottom and finish it off. I'm going to start it at the bottom here, adding one of these, and then stringing it up. Okay, but you do what works best for you. So let me get this a little tighter down. And a big thank you to both Drea and Karen. I don't know if you saw that beautiful photo of the kit, the mix that Karen took, and Drea, got the copy and everything done. So they really hustled to get this up because this was a brainchild that hit me like last week. So, I get these crazy ideas and I just jump in with both feet. But thank goodness we've got such a great team that supports me in all that. Okay, so see that right here? I've just put like an 11-aught or an 8-aught, a 6mm, and a maybe I'll do one more of those, and a crystal. Okay. So now to do a closure, what I'll do is I'll come in with my crimp tube, and I'm going to get a little tighter here so you guys can see this. Okay. And this side I wouldn't have to worry too much because I'm not having to tighten anything. So I'm going to come in with my crimping plier. Let me go. That's a little too close. There we go. I'm going to turn it, and I'm just going to do this as a single. So I'm going to grab my crimping plier, and this is the Xuron, the 3-in-1, so you can crimp 3 different sizes of crimp tubes. And see how I crimp and flatten like this? Yeah, this is actually like a curated collection. I don't know, we call our things so many different things, but all you need to know is it's a pretty mix of beads, right? That is going to get your creative juices flowing. So here, see how I've turned that crimp tube to the side? I'm going to flatten it, and then I'm going to come in and really ratchet that sucker down. Okay, tighten it down. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my crimp cover. The thing about a crimp cover that I like is that it looks just like a bead when it's closed, right? So there's my crimp cover. You see how the crimp is inside there? Now I'm going to come in, see how when I close my crimping plier, how you can see this really, the biggest opening that's right there, 1, 2, and 3. That big one, I'm going to come in and I'm going to put my pliers there, and then I'm going to kind of show you how it looks. It's kind of hard to get it right to the camera. You know what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put it right here in my plier first so you can see the position. See that? No, you can't. There we go. Come on now. Everybody's watching you. There you go. Can you see that side, how it's, let's say that this crimp cover looks like a little Pac-Man, right? With the opening on the side, right? The opening, the mouth of the Pac-Man is over here. So then I'll get my crimp tube in there. And I don't want to smash it before I get that tube in there. Then I want to gently round that crimp. I'm going to lift this up a little bit because it's having trouble focusing. Okay. Then the little mouth of the Pac-Man, I turn at about 1/4 of a turn, and then I smush it gently again. Smushing is a technical term, right? So I want to make sure when I pull that thread, that soft flex, that the crimp tube has come all the way around, or the crimp cover has come all the way around that crimp tube. And this is a 2x2 crimp tube with the crimp cover to match it. That was a little, I should have left well enough alone. Let me just straighten it out. There we go. Then what you can do is you can come in and clip at the bottom, and that can be the bottom of your lariat or an earring, right? If you wanted to string an earring on soft flex like this, this looks just fine, right? Really pretty. And so then you just crimp, or then you just string, right? This could also be a pendant. Like, let's just finish this. Let's say that maybe I had one of these colors and maybe, I don't know, one of these and maybe one of these and one of these. I don't know. I'm just making it up as I go along right here. Okay. But let's say you've got like those three and they're ready to like become a long pendant. Maybe that one is too much. Maybe let's make it look like it's not out of proportion. There we go. Okay. So if I wanted a loop on top of this, right, if it was an earring or if it was something, right? So I would now, I think I'd put another, I think I'll finish it as I started it with one of those, maybe. I'll put my crimp tube on. And now I'll just string my 11/0, no, 8/0. Why do I want to keep saying 11? My 8/0 beads. I think it's because I like using 11s with this too. Okay, so I'm going to form my loop like that, whatever loop, whatever size you need. And I'll go back through that crimp. Okay. Now, this is the kicker. And you've seen me, those of you who've watched me do this before and watched me string with soft flex or whatever. And this is the same way we would do this, you guys, is if you were doing this as a closer, right? If you were doing this as a clasp, you just make this loop as big as you'd need to go over the button, right? Does that make sense? So, and you would come in, I would actually start with the button, crimp a loop of soft flex here, and I'll show you. I would actually use probably a wire guard. So I'll show you that, how I crimp a button on the end. But we want to make sure that we've got enough room here, that we want it to be visually tight, right? But we don't want it so tight that we can't get the crimp cover in there, right? Because the crimp cover, if you look at it, the crimp cover has some width to it, right, to the metal, okay? So if I crimp this super tight, I wouldn't be able then to get my crimp cover in there without making everything so tight that it doesn't flow nicely. So, because this is wire, right? It's a wire-coated beading cable. So it doesn't have any give like thread might. So I've got a little bit of play in there, and I'm going to come in and I'm going to be really careful not to crimp an 8/0 bead, but see how I got it in there and I've crimped it flat. And I have one strand of the soft flex coming through one channel of the crimp tube and the other strand coming through the other channel, so they're not crossed like this. Okay? Then I'll turn, yeah, this is the Xuron, the 4-in-1 crimping plier that we just love here. Xuron tools are all made in the US. I actually want it to be in this one. There we go. And they're just a great handy tool. So I'm going to come in and I've turned the crimp tube on its side, put it in that second little rounder, and now I'm going to give it a little bit of a hug with the tip of this plier. One of our skill builders, we have how to crimp a crimp bead. So you can review that over on beadshop.com. Now I'm coming in and I'm going to clip the rest of that stringing material away. And I know it's a controversial opinion for some people. Some people like to run their soft flex back through a few beads. I'm going to say honestly, you guys, that running your soft flex back through these beads doesn't do anything for you, right? It doesn't make this crimp tube any stronger. If the crimp tube is open, that soft flex or whatever wire beading material you're using is going to work itself out and it's going to break anyway, right? So all it's going to do is scratch your neck and be irritating, right? So I go ahead and I make sure that my my crimp tube is just, it's crimped, it's tight. I look at it, I make sure, see how it's closed like a little taco right there, right? So I check that, and if it's closed that way, then you're in good shape. So now I'm going to get my crimp cover, and again, it's like a little Pac-Man. So that Pac-Man or Ms. Pac-Man, whatever you played in the arcade. See how that crimp cover comes up and kind of bites around the crimp tube. Now really gently I'm going to close it. I can kind of close it with the tips a little bit. Then, oh, and it needs to be closed evenly. See how that's off? We want it to close. There we go. And that's, again, what this is really good for. These nice tips help you fix things if they go awry. Then I put it in that rounder with the seam up, and I really gently give it a little squeeze. And you can see here on the side view as I do this. See that there? There we go. Sorry. It's going out of focus. I just gently hug that seam in the rounder, in the largest one. And I'm going across it and see how it closed that seam up. If you need a little extra closing power, just use the tips of your tool. Okay, so there's a dangle, like a dangle, right? You could use this as an earring or a pendant in the center of something, or hang it from your rear view mirror or whatever, right? But that's how you would do something like that. And you can see, since I left a little bit of room, these beads, there's some flexibility there, right? It's not so tight that this is going to hang really stiffly. We want this soft flex to be flexible. That's what we want. Okay. Now to use this as a button, I've got an extra piece of soft flex here. Let's pretend that that's a long piece that I'm going to make a necklace out of. This is where the wire guard comes into play for me. And again, I know not everyone loves a wire guard, but I do. I love it. And what I'll do is, this wire guard, you can see, looks like a little horseshoe. You can't really because it's kind of small. But that horseshoe is open at the end. So I'll come in And I'm using the 0.014. I'm using the fine. That's really my go-to. Okay. And then I'll come back and I'll go through the horseshoe like so. And I'll come in and see how that wire guard acts like a little, I don't know, closure, right? It acts like a little guard there, and it makes it look nice and finished. One of the things that people don't do with these wire guards, right, is you've got to come in and see, you got to squeeze that little guard kind of closed so that the tips kind of sit there together, okay, like this. So then I'll come in and I'll crimp just below it. Again, giving enough room you get my plier in there. Come on. Let me turn it around this way. You just have to have patience. There we go. See how I've grabbed it? It's in there. And now I'm going to squeeze it closed. Okay. And I'll give it a little hug with the tip of the pliers. And let's put that crimp cover on. Okay, like this. And that's going to come in. And see, there's just enough room between my crimp. Having trouble staying in focus today. There's just enough room between this end of the crimp and that wire guard so that it nestles in there, right? If it's too tight, you're not going to be able to get that wire guard in there. So I've closed it. Now I'm going to get to the rounder section right on the seam and give it a little hug. Okay, like so. So Mira said something interesting that I'm going to put up on the thing, which is something I didn't really think about it. So Mira says, my stepdaughter caught her necklace on a drawer pull when she pulled off, when she stood up. The crimp failed part of the way, and the excess wire that she had brought through the last 2 inches of beads was the only thing that kept the necklace from being a pile of beads on the floor. She disassembled it and remade the necklace. So that is... that's a great story about that. So if you're making a long piece like this one of the things I do periodically if I'm doing this on Softflex and I have holes that are big enough, or I'll just use a crimp cover, every so often, maybe every 10 inches or so, you can put in a crimp tube, right? So, and then cover it with a crimp cover, or cover it with a hole that has, with a bead that has a large hole, right? That can be done. So what you can also do, let me show you on the end of this one. I triple crimped here. And so there are 3 crimps, 1, 2, 3, under these crimp covers. So there's 3 there. I have just found that when I wear a necklace over and over, this will work itself out. But maybe what you were saying, Mira, is you did like 2 inches worth that went back through. So that may be something worth trying, right? I'm not adverse to trying new tricks for sure. And especially, let's see if, like, maybe I'll put this guy on, right? And maybe, I don't know, a couple of other size 8s maybe here. Then you could crimp again, right? And sometimes it's hard to tell. I mean, I am a little older now and my eyes are not as spry as they used to be. right? So sometimes, despite all of my efforts, my crimping isn't as perfect as I want it to be, right? But one of the things you can really see how I get it, like right there, how I'm pulling the two pieces of Softflex, one to each side. And so that sits in that little channel. And then I'll come in and I will close it up. Now, since this is doubled, I'll come in, I'll clip away that extra. I'll get my cover. And again, the good thing about crimp covers is that if you can't find a crimp tube that matches the rest of your findings, it doesn't matter. Just your crimp cover needs to match, right? Because that crimp tube is going to be on the inside. There we go. It's almost closed. And then I bring it to that rounder and I just squeeze right on top of that seam and it closes it up. So see that now we've got a little bit, right? A little bit of extra safety there at the end. And what Mira is also saying, it requires a little bit of pre-planning because you need to make sure that the beads that you're using at the end are, you know, are large enough to get that through. But these 8/0s, especially if you're using the fine, that 8/0 hole is big, right? And so here's a question. Let me see. I do try to go back into several beads for heavy beads, but I love the idea of the 3 crimps and then cover with crimp covers. But I think I saw brown crimp covers. Did you use a bead to cover the crimp? What I used is, I will tell you, where is it? I used the brass, the antique brass. Here they are. And you can see if I turn it around, you can see that there's the opening. I didn't close that one as well as I could have. So those are all crimp covers. But lined up, 1, 2, 3, they really match. This is the gilding matte 11/0 that I used. So it just flows right in with those crimp covers. Okay, and we carry them in we carry them in all the flavors. So I like them. And then as I would string along something like this, I would put a crimp maybe somewhere, cover it with the crimp cover so that if someday, if this Softflex failed, you would have some protection against this necklace being, you know, going all over the floor. So that's it. That's my little primer for you on crimp covers and crimps. So just to kind of go over, the wire guards are here, right? Here are the wire guards. Here are the crimp covers. And the size that I used were the 2 millimeter. It's the 2 by 2 or a 2.5 by 2.5. They both work with that size of the crimp tube. You want to make sure, or the crimp cover, you want to make sure that your crimp cover is generous enough that it goes over the tube, right? And then that little wire guard, I use wire guards on just about everything that you can see here on the back of this button. When I did this one, you can see the wire guard is there. I like it a lot. Now, adding wire, if you're short wire, you know, Pat, it's a great question. You can, and what I might do, it's not optimal, but let me show you. I've got a couple of moments left. Let me see if I can find the lid to this thing, though. Now that anybody see it? There it is. I get so excited, I just throw these around. And again, you can find everything, you guys, that we are doing, everything that we're showing. You can go right to our website to beadshop.com and you can find everything there. Okay. I just wanted to put that banner up because I felt fancy. And then Mira, I'll answer your question about the gap in the top of the wire guard. So adding wire, that's what we were going to do. Okay. So let's say that here's my piece of soft flex and I'm stringing along and I'm like, oh, darn, I didn't cut enough. What I might do is get your friend and mine, our crimp tube again. And I would put it through so it's, you can't see that at all. There you go. I would just put this and crimp it tight and fold it. And I'll show you how strong. I'm going to really flatten it here. Okay. Now I'm going to cut away these short pieces. All right. And let's check. Let's do a test to see how well this is going to hold. Okay. I don't know if it will or not. I think it will. I'm going to clip it there. And I'm going to clip it there. You know, I've been stringing for almost 30 years, and many of those 30 years with soft flex. So I know almost every trick in the book. But here's this, right? And here's this. I'm going to pull it. See, so I pulled it pretty tight. So that came off. So what I'm going to do is let's test it double. Okay. And this is how I figure things out. Right? So let's do this again. Let me get 2 crimp tubes. Let me get this one here. And I was pulling pretty hard. There's a couple of other things that you can do too. So hold that thought. But let me do this again. Let me double crimp. Let me fold. Really tighten that sucker down. Whoops. Fold it. Okay, so now I've got 2. Okay, let's see how that works. I'm going to hold it here. Oops, with this one. I'm going to hold it here with this one. And I'm really, yeah, see, look, I'm really pulling. 2 is the dealio. Okay, Janice says flat crimping, but I like doing the fold because I feel like it really has it in there. But you could try flat crimping that as well. But see there? Let's check it with flat crimping. Let me get another little piece. Because the idea is with this, you guys, that you want your metal to contact the metal of the crimp tube. You want it to contact as much of your stringing material as possible. Okay, so let's do this single one just for fun. I'm going to flat crimp this like we used to, old school, kicking it old school before we had those crimping pliers. Okay, like this. I wouldn't add any glue. Metal and glue, they're not really, I don't think that's going to help. I think that'll just kind of gum the works up. Yeah, that one. And see what happens is, let me show you. The coating stayed over, but can you see how this frayed? The soft flex kind of frayed like that. Right? So I'm going to flat crimp double. I mean, why not, right? Here's that one. And I'm pulling really hard too, right? Then I would cover this with a bead that has a large hole or a couple of crimp covers or whatever. It's not optimal, but it would get you out of a bind for sure. So here are these. Let's line them up one above the other like this. And I'll show the I'll show the crimp part 360, you bet. So there's that one, flat. And here's this one, flat. Okay, like so. And I'm not going to cut these other guys away. You've noticed I've kind of changed my tune about that. Let's try it. Yeah. See that? I'm really pulling. I'm white knuckling this sucker, right? So yeah, this is good. So I think that this flat one, I'll show you the difference. Here's the one that's been rounded. It's folded. And then there's the back, right? It just looks like a flat little crimp. And then here's the flat crimp. Front, side, and back. So I think both of these will work. Another good question that Margaret has is, does the crimp cover add any strength, or are they just decorative? I would say, I think they're pretty much just decorative, really. You know, they don't contact your crimp at all. They just come around and close it. So your crimp is actually here on the interior. So it doesn't actually contact the crimp tube. The other question that Mira had was, why is the little horseshoe, whoops, this is where it pulled out, so I need to clip it. So here is the little crimp cover. And the reason I think you can see that the tip of that horseshoe or the top of that horseshoe is open. I think it's for ease of use, Mira. If this were a completely closed little tube, I think it would be hard for this Softflex to make that curve, this bend, this really like, you know, U-shaped bend, hairpin curve here. So you're able then to just put this through, and then you can see how it just comes down and nestles right in there. So I think this is why they designed them that way. Okay. So that's it. I think that these mixes, you guys, let's do some last looks on this. I think that these mixes that we put out, these curated mixes, are a really good jumping off point for you to kind of flex your creativity muscle. They come, as I said, with 18 Swarovski crystals that are rare, hard to find these suckers. This beautiful, this is let me measure that. I think this button is 18 millimeters. It's a check glass. No, yeah, 18.5 millimeters. Check glass button, silvered on the back, nice size shank. It's slightly matted, but it just, I want this to be, like I said, a throw pillow on my fancy fainting couch. I love it. And then you get a tube of plenty of seed beads that will be elongated in there. And then you get a strand of these 6 millimeters, which are great. Okay. So, I'm very pleased with how these went. So we'll have more in at noon Pacific time. So let me give you guys some info. It looks like we've got a lot of new people watching today, which we really appreciate all of your support and likes and shares of this video. So to find us, the way that you can get all the information for these broadcasts, I broadcast twice a week. We're from the beadshop.com headquarters. We do a Wednesday broadcast, our Bead Shop Live. We are in our 5th year of broadcasting. You can find all of the archived broadcasts at our YouTube channel. You can subscribe and follow our YouTube channel at beadshop.com. We'd love to have you as part of our bead table, bead shop community. You can Google the bead table and answer some questions. We'd love to have you join us over there. And of course, you can find us on our Instagram at beadshop.com. Currently, also with our Facebook page, if you got your newsletter this morning, Drea wrote a little bit about it. We're having a little bit of issues. Our regular beadshop.com Facebook page, the main one for the business, got hacked. So we don't have control over it anymore. We're working on it. We're trying to get it back. But we have another small, we started another page that's called Create with beadshop.com. That's the one you want to be on. And you can check out today's newsletter for more information about that. And of course, you guys, you can go right to our website, to beadshop.com, for information on the project and the products from this broadcast. Sign up for our newsletter. This was all about, was in our newsletter this morning. So people that shopped early got that reminder in their newsletter. And that's also where we have our latest discounts. Sometimes we give giveaways, and I will neither confirm or deny that I might have something coming up as a fun giveaway. And of course, for our discounts. And right now in March, if you're watching this live and not on a replay, you can use our March code, which is Lucky15 at checkout. It's valid on all of your purchases of $50 or more, and it is valid through the end of March, 3/31/21 at midnight Pacific time. Okay, so you can use that. And when you spend $50 or more, you will get 15% off. Now, next week, we have a fun project coming up, you guys, where Janice and I have a fun project that we're going to be playing around with. And then I want to give you a sneak peek of these pretty things. I told you on Wednesday, Emily's coming back at the end of the month, and we're going to talk seed beads, everything seed beads. Our seed bead school will be back in. Oh, and Drea said it was in yesterday's info, was on Facebook, but she'll put it in again in the newsletter this weekend, so you can get the skinny on what's going on there. So Emily did this great project based on our lantern earring project that she made for us. I am making these into a lariat. So she's going to be on, she is going to be on, it's going to be the 31st, I guess. No, today's the 12th. So she's going to be on, I think, on the 24th, I believe, is the date for Emily. And she's going to talk about this project, and we're going to talk about fringe. This kind of evolved because we wanted to talk about the evolution of fringe and how to do different fringe things and stuff like that. And so we're going to have her on that Wednesday. Then we're also going to have her on that Friday, where we talk more about fringe. So that's going to be a week with Emily. It's going to be really fun. This will be finished into a lariat. That it's my part of the collaboration on this, so I'll have this done for you. I think it's going to be really fun. Or you can make a single and just have it as a pendant, which is going to be great. So I think these are going to be fun. And you know, Emily always has seed beads of wisdom to share with everyone. So I think, and it's a 3D. It's really fun. And if you're not a seed beater, you know, stop in anyway. You're going to pick up so many great tips, and you never know what you might learn from Emily, which is awesome. So I wanted to thank everybody for joining me today. You know, we have, we're commemorating, I guess, it's been a year of lockdown. And since COVID-19 was officially declared a pandemic, a worldwide pandemic. And so next week, next Friday, I have kind of a special commemorative broadcast on Free Tip Friday, a week from today, where we're going to kind of celebrate the Kate's Creative Connections that we did, that I did every day during the beginning of the pandemic to keep us all engaged and focused, I guess. So I have a knot that I'm going to share with you, which is going to be really fun. It'll be a fun one to keep your hands busy over the weekend. And I also wanted to mention, I'm super excited that Chris and I are both signed up for our COVID shots on Monday, round 1. So I urge you guys to know that we've got an end in sight. We're still washing our hands. We're still wearing our masks. We're still socially distancing. But when it is your turn, you guys, to get that shot, and I cannot believe that it's going to be my turn on Monday. I called my mom, and first I called Chris, who said I made his appointments. Then I called my mom. So this past pandemic year has been rough for all of us, and there's some people who are not sitting around the bead table any longer because of it. And so stay the course, everybody. The end is in sight, but we still have to be really aware of what we're doing. And again, when that shot comes to you and it's available, take it, wear those masks, social distance, and we'll all be back together soon. So that's what I've got to tell you. Have a fantastic weekend, everybody. Stay creative. We couldn't have done it without you. We appreciate every moment of your support. So that's what I've got. I'll see you Wednesday with Janice with this kicky little project that we're going to finish up some bead embroidery. So thanks, everybody. We appreciate it. Have a great weekend. Don't forget to use that Lucky 15 code. And in 28 minutes, you'll see another batch of that mix go in. Have a great weekend, everybody. See you next week.